Hi everyone, thanks so much for being here. My name is Kat and I make houseplant videos here on Good and Planty. If you just want to absolutely love this video, please consider liking it, commenting, subscribing, or following me on Instagram. All of these things help me grow my channel like a plant. Halloween is coming. It is the week before Halloween and I want to bring spooky content to you. So in spirit of that, today we are doing a much needed repot with some of my houseplants, but we will be talking about some Halloween movies. I am not a movie critic by any means, but I figured it'd be fun to talk about some old and new Halloween movies. You can chime in the comment section and it should be pretty fun. I watched a decent amount of Halloween movies in preparation. Also, huge thank you to anyone that submitted movie requests on Instagram. Stay tuned, maybe your movie will pop up. I also want to give a quick shout out to Bad and Planty merch. You're running out of time for the final run of this design. I have these cups and crew neck sweatshirts. Those will be available until October 31st. Now I will have a discount code come up here that you can use for free shipping. So get on that and we're gonna jump into repotting. I don't know what to start with though. Let's ease into it and start small, I think. So the first plant that we're gonna do is this Hawaiian Pothos. These leaves have opened up a little bit, but the more traditional leaves are more curled like so. I have been wanting this plant for so long and there's a dog. And my friend was nice enough to give me some of her cuttings while she is moving. So we're gonna pot her up in this lovely 4-inch pot. I'm gonna wait for the dog to calm down. While we're potting her up, we are going to first talk about Halloween and Halloween Returns. So this was my first time, believe it or not, watching the original Halloween, and I will read you a quick synopsis. So Halloween is a 1978 American slasher film. And the biggest draw to this movie is that it is starring Jamie Lee Curtis, and this was her film debut. And it centers around a mental patient, aka Michael Myers, we all know him, who was committed to a sanitarium for murdering his babysitting teenage sister on Halloween night when he was 6 years old. 15 years later, he escapes and returns to his hometown where he stalks a female babysitter and her friends while under pursuit by his psychiatrist. So yes, like I said, believe it or not, I've actually never watched the original Halloween, and I'll preface this by saying I am a huge scary movie baby, which might be shocking since I rep Halloween so hard, but there's something, oh my god, these roots are amazing. But I am, in fact, a huge horror movie baby, as you will find out as we talk about some of the other movies that I watched. I found it interesting how, since this movie is from the 70s, it was just not scary in the slightest. All of the murder scenes were ridiculously funny to me. All in all, for that time, I think that they did a really good job, and I can totally, I mean, obviously they did a good job, but I can understand why it's such a classic. I watched it for the first time in 2022 and was totally into the movie and thoroughly enjoyed it, although it is a bit older and can be like outdated in terms of scare factor. I will say the one thing I wanted to talk about before, well, I have a few comments on Halloween before we move on to Halloween Returns. I was watching Halloween with a friend and we were kind of cracking up because we were like, okay, obviously since this is an older Halloween movie, it's gonna be a little bit predictable, and we were kind of like guessing what was gonna happen next and everything. But the one thing that got me so good was the scene when Michael Myers comes in to kill one of Jamie Lee Curtis's friends, and he comes in dressed as a ghost with sunglasses. We were guessing, we were like, oh, she's gonna go down and check on him, but no, Michael Myers is wearing a sheep ghost costume with sunglasses. Literally never knew that was a thing, and I was losing my mind when that happened. I wish I could experience that for the first time again because God, it got me so good. So yeah, besides that, the main draw for me in this movie was Jamie Lee Curtis. She is a star. She is phenomenal. There were a lot of moments where I was like, you're being dumb, like get it together. He clearly doesn't die. Stop throwing away the knife every 2 seconds maybe. But other than that, very enjoyable movie. Can definitely like understand the hype. I fast forwarded to Halloween Returns, and that movie, by the way, we're finished with the Shangri-La. She looks amazing, if I do say so myself. She was totally ready for a repot, and I think that that is looking good. So 1 down, and next we are gonna do this Siltepecana maybe. So I have this Siltepecana in this 4-inch pot. You all know she's one of my favorites, and she's actually doing pretty well in here. She's not outgrown at all, but I did get a bunch of Siltepecana cuttings from that same friend that gave me the Shangri-La. We're just gonna pot them both up together in a 6-inch pot. Let me get this set up, get in a base layer. Okay, and now let's talk synopsis. So Halloween Ends came out this year, 2022, and it is a sequel to Halloween Kills from 2021. However, I will come clean. I have only watched the first Halloween movie and the most recent, so I skipped a lot. Obviously, this is a whole franchise, and I did read some summaries of the sequels just so I had some context for today's video, but I did not watch them. So I'm literally just going right from the first movie to this one. This movie revolves around Corey Cunningham, which to my understanding is a new character. He falls in love with Laurie Strode, who is Jamie Lee Curtis, her character's granddaughter, while a series of events, including crossing paths with Michael Myers, upends his life and renders him a murderous outcast. And I will give you a spoiler alert. These events are him killing a child within the first 5 minutes of the movie. When I tell you I was so unprepared for that, if you watch this movie, they kind of like build up suspense, and the kid is like locking him in this room and he's freaking out because he's thinking about Michael Myers and everything. And I was like, oh, ha ha ha, the kid's just gonna let him out, and they're building suspense as like a little fake out in the beginning of the movie. But then he goes ahead, kicks down the door, the child falls over the banister down like 3 stories and then just dies. And you can see like his body, like the scene where they show his like neck and stuff break. It was gross. Again, I'm not like a horror movie gal. I really sucked it up for the spirit of Halloween. I again thought that I could anticipate what was gonna happen in the Halloween movies, and they proved me wrong. So I will give them credit for that for sure. They keep me on my toes. I do have some thoughts on this movie. I am obviously very new to the franchise, so this isn't really my place. I'm kind of just sticking my nose somewhere that I am not qualified to do so, but this is my channel, so I'm gonna say and do what I want. After the high of Halloween, I will say I was slightly disappointed in this movie. First of all, I thought that the movie was a little bit too long. I really love when horror movies are about an hour and 30 minutes tops. This one I think was closer to 2 hours, and again, that's just me being a scaredy cat, so I can very much put that on myself. But that was a complaint of mine, to be honest. I don't really want to sit through a long horror movie unless it's like a psychological thriller and I really need the build-up. If it's one of these like slasher films, just show me the action scenes. Let's get down to the very basic storyline and have a resolution and call it a day. You know what I mean? On top of that, my number one real gripe for this is that it was not about Michael Myers at all. It's centered around this Corey character, right? That's his name? Yeah, it's centered around this Corey character, and he's new. I don't care about him at all. And it was completely like tied to his character development, his storyline, and Michael Myers only really showed up when it was relevant to Corey, which I personally found disappointing after getting excited about the franchise. This is a huge spoiler, but Michael Myers dies at the end, like dead for real, like his body is discarded of. And who knows, maybe it's like a setup or something, but it looked pretty convincing to me. For there to be 13 movies about this guy and for it to end pretty anticlimactically in a movie not really about him, I thought that was really dumb. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, maybe they're setting up Corey to be like this replacement character for Michael Myers where maybe there will be movies off of him or something, but they killed him too, so it doesn't even matter really. I'm pretty sure he died. Yeah, he died. So I don't understand. I don't understand what the purpose of Corey was. Maybe someone who's like really knowledgeable about this series can tell me why they did that, but if I was a dedicated fan of this franchise, watched all the movies, I would be so disappointed to see Michael Myers go down in the way that he did. It was a very empowering scene for Laurie, aka Jamie Lee Curtis. I can like see the story arc for her and that she got a lot of closure from killing him and da-da-da-da-da. But in terms of like Michael Myers' action, like seeing him as a villain, so I was so disappointed. I'll probably go back and watch the other movies because I genuinely like am a fan of this now. I'm so obviously late, but I've been wanting to watch this movie like every year and I just never got around to it. Also, we're done with this. Ta-da, so cute. Hopefully she fills out a little bit more, but there she is. And we're gonna move on now to, let's do this. Nobody kill me, but I'm throwing out this Maranta. It's my birthday month, so honestly, I get a present and my present is throwing out this Maranta with no remorse. The last thing I will say about the movie, before moving on to the next movies that we're gonna talk about, is the tongue scene where Corey cuts out that like radio host tongue and it's playing on the vinyl thing, the record player. Whew, that was a lot. That was quite a change from the 70s movie. Okay, I'm gonna go dump this, BRB, and we're gonna move on to Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. Okay. Ooh. Sitting on a rock. So in this pot, we are putting in my Rhaphidophora decursiva. She is just in her nursery soil that is like very compacted. It's full of perlite. I'm not a fan, so we're gonna upgrade it. Okay, so Hocus Pocus, I'm pretty sure everyone will be fairly familiar with. Just in case you're not and you haven't seen it, I will read the synopsis right now. Hocus Pocus is a 1993 American fantasy comedy film that follows a villainous comedic trio of witches who are inadvertently resurrected by a teenage boy in Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween night. And the film is directed by Kenny Ortega, High School Musical king, which I somehow didn't know. So that was pretty fun to find out. I will say, like, when I was younger, this movie used to scare me. I actually I think that this might have been my first time, I think this might have been my first time watching it all the way through because every time I tried to watch it as a kid, I got too scared. I genuinely had such a good time. I'm not better than watching a children's movie on a Friday night. I just wasn't sure if I was gonna get into it, and I did. So that was pretty fun. However, watching it at 24, almost 25 years old, I had such a different lens on this movie. I walked away being like, the witches are not wrong at all. Cut them a break, you know what I mean? I would be eating babies too if it kept me young. I'll say it, if I was a witch. I will say I'm a Sanderson sister sympathizer. Cancel me if you want, but I was really into it. I got their motive loud and clear. My two quick other points before we move into Hocus Pocus 2. One, I forgot how iconic the I Put a Spell on You scene was. That was so good. I was like fully engaged and into it when that song came on. I was very very happy to be watching that scene once again. And then my last point was that for being a children's movie, they mentioned virgins and virginity so many times. I was kind of surprised. I don't really know if I have any strong opinions on it, to be honest, but I was just genuinely surprised that they were just talking about virgins. So then I watched Hocus Pocus 2, which I will be honest, I was far less excited to watch that movie because I was like, okay, for the first Hocus Pocus, at least there's the nostalgic element about it, but for the second Hocus Pocus, like that, I'll read the synopsis, hold on. It's a 2022 American fantasy comedy. It is a sequel, a direct sequel to the 1993 Hocus Pocus. Has the original Three Sisters cast, and it basically follows the three witches again, just like in a more modern setting is what I'll say. But yeah, I was like less excited to watch this because I was like, okay, another remake. It doesn't have the nostalgia factor for me at all. And I feel like it's just gonna be like a really predictable kids movie. And was I that wrong? No. I think because I just watched Hocus Pocus, like the first one, I was like intrigued to know where they were gonna go with the storyline. The first Hocus Pocus took so many risks in the humor that they did, even though it's like a children's movie. They had like hidden jokes for adults. They made some concepts a little bit scarier. I don't know, it's just genuinely an entertaining movie to watch no matter what age you are. I felt like they lost some of that in the Hocus Pocus 2. It was a little bit scrubbed clean, I guess, compared to the first one. The only thing that I did like was there was a little bit more social commentary on the beauty industry and everything like that, and the cast was more diverse in some ways, but all in all, just like not hitting like the first one. I don't know, I just found it like just not great, and I feel like they did such a good job on the first one that the second one deserved better. Actually, I'm just thinking about this, I would kill to watch like an R-rated Hocus Pocus. I think that would be so much fun. I hope someone from Hollywood is watching my video right now. We need that. But anyway, this day Cursiva is done. I think she looks beautiful in her new little pot. This fits her so much better, honestly. I'm very excited about that. And we have one last movie to talk about and one last plant. And the plant is a little overwhelming. The last plant that we're doing is this Hawaiian Pothos over here. She is in a bit of a shallow pot, as you can see, and we have a lot of roots growing out of the bottom. I'm hoping you can see that. If you haven't watched my Micans video, basically my strategy now with staked plants like this is to just keep it as compact as possible, plop it in the new pot, and then slowly massage out the roots a little bit and then backfill. So that's all we're gonna do today. And then I'm also gonna maybe propagate some of the longer vines since I don't want to elongate the pole. Maybe I'll take some propagations, tie up some of the other vines, and kind of give her a fresh start. I will introduce the last movie we're gonna talk about today, which is the 2022 Hellraiser movie. Man, oh man. My thoughts on this movie are gonna be pretty short and sweet, but probably not for the reasons you expect. But first, you guessed it, I'm gonna read the synopsis because I just don't want to miss anything. So Hellraiser is a 2022 American supernatural horror film. This is the second adaptation of the 1986 novella, The Hellbound Heart. So the original Hellraiser is the first adaptation. This isn't a sequel to my understanding. The little summary is a young woman must confront the sadistic supernatural forces behind an enigmatic puzzle box responsible for her brother's disappearance. Ooh. So basically it's a very scary movie about this puzzle box, and there needs to be like a bunch of sacrifices that the box takes if you solve the puzzle, and you get cut with this knife, and then these aliens come and take you away. And once they kill like 8 people, whoever has the box at that point gets to make like this wish, but in reality you're kind of making a deal with the devil, so the wish is not really what you think it's gonna be. It's a whole thing. I'm honestly not even gonna get into this movie that much because at this point Mind you, I watched most of these in one day. Ooh, oh my god, these roots are amazing. Love. So by this point, I am movied out. I'm tuckered out. This was last night, by the way. On top of that, it's dark outside. I'm scared. I was genuinely horrified while watching this movie. I started out like pretty good. I was in full screen. My bedroom door was open. Things changed quickly for me as more of these creepy aliens started coming out. Some of them are really scary. Long story short, I went online shopping while this was playing in the background. I had a nightlight on. I double checked my front door to make sure it was locked. I was not having a good time while watching this movie, and honestly, this movie taught me more about how to cope while watching a scary movie alone than anything else. The one thing that I really loved about this movie was it had the girly from L Word Generation Q, the one that owns the bar, or doesn't own, the one that works with Shane at the bar. She was Pinhead. She did such a good job. She was so scary. Her voice was like perfect for that role. It was like 2 hours, which is like way, way, way too long. As I talked about before, I really wish it wasn't that long. For it being 2 hours, we should have gotten a little bit more info on the characters, because some of them were dying and I didn't even care because I didn't even know them that well. I guess like for the 2 hours, if it has to be 2 hours, I'm definitely gonna be a little bit harsher on getting to know the characters and a bit more attention to like the storyline and everything. But other than that, like I said, I was like half paying attention to the movie, so I don't know, whatever. Okay, wait. We potted up all the little plants. We talked about our scary movies. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave your thoughts, concerns, passionate insight in the comment section down below. I will do my best to answer everything. Please like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.